So we did find out yesterday that T4As for government support that's happened through all this COVID stuff are coming out today, right? So beginning of January, they're already on their way out.
Yeah, so that is going to give you details on how much taxable income you got from either CERB, CESB, CRB, CRSB, and CRCB. So there's kind of a lot of info there if you were dipping into multiple pots.
That's a lot of programs the government put out last year, isn't it?
It sure is.
Now, some of them were taxed and some of them weren't taxed, right?
Right. So CERB and CESB were not taxed.
And even the slips that had tax taken off, that doesn't mean that that's all the tax you owe on this. These slips are going to go on your tax return along with all your other income and deductions. And it's the tax return itself that's going to figure out, or the process of going through the tax return that's going to figure out what your ultimate bill is going to be, right?
So all of these benefits do still affect your tax filing.
Right, absolutely. And again, there's no information on there about how much tax you owe, simply how much money you got, how much money you received, and how much tax, if any, they withheld on that income. Now, there's some people that have been getting letters saying that they have to pay this entire amount of funding back. How do these slips affect those people?
Right. So we wanted to talk about that because there are people who got these letters who are supposed to pay it back, but there also are people who might have gotten these letters who could have gotten them, but they don't need to pay it back. So it's a little bit confusing. So if you got one of these letters, that means that the government thinks you didn't make enough money in 2019 or in the year prior to these benefits going out to be eligible. So you had to make $5,000 during that time frame in order to be eligible to receive these benefits. And these letters have gone out to quite a few people who the CRA cannot confirm that they made that money. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not eligible. They just couldn't confirm it.
Right. Because the only way that they had to confirm, and the amount was $5,000 net income that you had to make, the only way that they had to confirm it was by your 2019 tax return, right? It's the only information they have. So for anybody who didn't make $5,000 net income in 2019, if you made $5,000 in income in January and February 2020 net income, you still qualify for that benefit. And the government wouldn't know that information yet because that's information that would show up on your 2020 tax return.
So the government has admitted that the instructions were a little bit unclear, especially around the net income expenses situation around the $5,000. Some people thought I had to make $5,000 after expenses. Some people thought it was before expenses, so that people didn't really know. And so they've said, we know we made a mistake. We weren't quite clear enough on that. So there's not going to be any penalties or interest on the people who do need to repay.
Right. And they did actually go in and change the website, after people started applying to put net income in, but you may have never seen that because it was weeks after the original. Yeah. We're just not going to tell anyone. We're just going to go ahead and do this. Right. Now, if you do end up having to pay it back, it's just going to be like a social benefit repayment that forms part of your taxes due, essentially, right?
Yeah.
That's the expectation. So now, if you did make the money in January and February of 2020, again, it seems like that's going to qualify you because the language that is clear, it says in the year prior. So that could mean January and February of 2020 as well. Certainly, we have to expect that if you fall in that boat where it wasn't in 2019, but it was in 2020, that might be more heavily reviewed than potentially other people because it is, especially, if I didn't make $5,000 in all of 2019, but I made it in January and February of 2020, that's a big turnaround in your business.
Right.
It could absolutely happen.
You could have gotten a job. Like
absolutely.
Graduated university, gotten a job. There's lots of things.
Lots of things could have changed that made that happen. My point is just that if you're in that boat where you do qualify because you made it in January and February, be prepared that you might get another letter and there might be some vouchers, some information that you have to send, just substantiating that claim. That's all.
Yeah, you're just going to have to confirm that.
Yep, exactly. Some good news there, that even if you've gotten one of those letters, horrible that they sent them right out before Christmas, but that's our government, that you could still qualify, that money might not be due.
Right. So if you're waiting for a T4A from the CRA, you're going to be getting that very shortly. And get to work filing your taxes.
Absolutely.